Now, in doing this grain filling, several things can help you. For instance, I just went through a process, which I didn't record. I sanded the whole thing with some 400 grit wet dry sandpaper and olive oil to help kind of level things down and knock the bumps off. And then I wiped the olive oil off with a paper towel and cleaned things up afterwards. But the end result of that is there's a thin film of oil left on the guitar, which is fine, no big deal. It soaks into the pores and gets cleaned up afterwards. But it does make it a little easier to glide the pad around as you're doing this filling process. So it's not a bad idea, after you finish doing the 3 spit coats, to kind of go over the guitar with 400 wet dry and a little bit of olive oil to knock the bumps off and make it a little easier to work on. I'm just working away on this I kind of do it in thirds, 6th, whatever, thirds on the side, and work away at filling. And like you saw, I just dab my pad into the pumice on a piece of paper, add 4 or 5 drops of alcohol, and then go over it. And things are starting to fill up nicely here. Most of the smaller pores are filled now. Just some of the bigger ones that need work on. And I just work away. This probably will take, well, I don't know. It's probably spent a good hour doing this so far in the back, and probably have another half hour to 45 minutes before the back is completely filled. Fun stuff. Is your arm tired yet? Now let me tell you about a little secret with French polishing. There's as many different ways to do French polishing as there are French polishers. And if you go out on the internet and do some searching for how to French polish, you will find umpteen dozen different methods, many of which are contradictory. Of the instruments I've done, I haven't done any of them the same way. And this one I'm doing differently as well, just as an experiment. And I mean, there are those who tell you it takes 3 weeks to do a French polish, or 2 months. There are those who tell you you can finish a guitar in 1 day. I haven't managed to do that yet. So anyway, what I'm trying now, so I've gone through and filled most of the pores in this with pumice, as I described earlier. Although, I mean, I've had, some issues with that. Sometimes, even though I clear the pumice on my pad, some still gets down inside a pore and dries, and you get little white pores where the pumice has got wedged in there and you can't get it out. So I don't know. Some people don't use pumice at all. They just work away with shellac, till their hand falls off and it fills all the pores. But I'm going to continue with this. So now I'm putting bogging coats on, and all I've done is I've mixed up a 1 pound cut of shellac. I just took some of my 2 pound cut and mixed it half and half with alcohol. And I have my little pad, and I put it on my pad, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 drops or there. Let it soak in a bit. And then I'm working on the side right now. I'll pick an area that's, I don't know, about 6 to 8 inches long, and work in small circles in some kind of a regular pattern. I'm going up and down here in 3 passes to cover the whole thing, and then I'm going to go back and forth this way down and cover the whole area. And you can see, well, it's not easy to see on the side. It's much easier when you're in the back. There's a little vapor trail sort of thing that follows your pad, which is you can see the alcohol evaporating behind you. It's hard to see on a curved surface like this. But you can watch, and you can feel it too, that as your pad starts to dry out, that vapor trail will start to disappear, and you won't have it anymore. And at that point in time, it's time to recharge and move on to a new area. But I find I go over this with probably about 3 or 4 passes over that same area, keeping the pattern changing, and this one does it. And then I'll move on to the next section. Now, this stuff dries so fast, you can do this almost continually. I started with the back, did one side, then the top, then the other side, and I can just then continue on to the back again, and do. Every 3 or 4 sessions of this, as you get a little bit built up, I will then take some 400 grit wet dry sandpaper and some little bit of olive oil and go over the whole guitar and sand it down with that. knock the bumps off and re-level it, and then go back at it, continue on with the sessions. And eventually it'll start to look beautiful. Yeah. I have managed to fill the grain on this, and what I ended up doing to make it easier on myself was, rather than dipping the pad into some pumice and working on it, because I found with that this is 2F pumice, which is medium coarse. I probably should switch to using 4F. But some of the grains were probably too big, and it was getting into the pores, and I couldn't get it out. And I ended up, certainly on the side, I've got some whitish marks in the pores that won't come out now. Ah, well. What I did, I took a little bit of that pumice, and I tied it up in a little piece of t-shirt, and to kind of act as a filter. And I would tap that onto the guitar, and only the finest pieces of the pumice would come through. I ended up with a finer pumice, I think, that's my theory. And then I would take probably like half a pound cut. I'd take some 3 or 4 drops of my 1 pound cut, and then 3 or 4 drops of alcohol, and then a single drop of olive oil. Spread that around my finger, and then work that over about a 6 by 6 inch area, working that pumice in. And that worked very well to get the grain finally filled up. So now the grain's filled. I've given this a very light sanding with 400 grit paper and a little bit of olive oil to knock some of the whatever little pumice lumps or whatever I had left in there. And now I'm going to start starting the body sessions, trying to build up some kind of thickness or print polish. And I'm back to my 1 pound cut. And I put 5 or 6 drops of that on my pad, just let her soak in. And then I worked, again, maybe a 6 by 6 area. Keeping it small. I use little round circles. Never ever stop your pad, or else it'll stick and mar the finish. And sometimes I'll switch to a figure 8 pattern. The benefit of a figure 8 is that you end up depositing material onto the guitar from both sides of the pad in both directions. And where you go in a circle, you're kind of depositing from the same side all the time, so you dry out one side of the pad past the other. But the figure 8s are a little harder to do and control, so I switch to circles and back to figure 8s and change the direction. And you can see the little vapor trail gets left behind, and that's good. Tells you things are working, and your pad's still a little wet. But you can feel it kind of start to dry out and drag a little more as the pad gets dry. And then just kind of call that section filled, blend it into the previous section, and move on to another area. Maybe a little whack once in a while just to spread the liquid around the pad a little better.